Imperfect Thriving, Episode 50, Real Life Trading with Jerremy Newsome. Do you ever procrastinate? Do you ever beat yourself up with critical self-talk and feel like a failure? Do you or others often fail to live up to your own expectations? You might just be a perfectionist, my friend. I know because I'm a recovering perfectionist myself. Through my education and experience, I've learned how to let go of perfection and begin enjoying my life to the fullest. And I want you right here with me. Go ahead and sign up for my free Progress Over Perfection workshop that I created to help you move from struggling with perfectionism to living a satisfying and fulfilling life. And if you still aren't sure whether you are a perfectionist, I have a free quiz at the beginning of the course. And if you check any of those boxes as yes, then this course is for you. All you need to do is go to imperfectthriving.com right now and click on the free Progress Over Perfection workshop, and you can get started right now. I'm Catherine Ely, former attorney turned licensed counselor and coach. Oh yeah, and recovering perfectionist. It wasn't long ago that my self-criticism and fear kept me from having the self-worth, confidence, and courage to make my life my own. Through life lessons learned and by going back to school in my 40s, I am finally enjoying my life in a way I never thought possible. And it is amazing. I want you right here with me. No need for you to go back to school either. I created this podcast to show you the way to the imperfect thriving kind of life, based on what you value, filled with self-worth, confidence, way more joy, and no more regrets. So let's go.
It depends then again on your investment and or retirement or money goals. Because if you want some version of safety and security and reliability, then you can buy the companies that have gone up for a while and are established and have been around. Apple's a very good example of that.
In this episode, I have Jerremy Newsome. Jerremy is on a mission to enrich lives with mentally liberating education. Since the age of 7, he has been fascinated with investing and growth and even convinced his father to match his investment deposit for some Apple stock back in 1995, which would be worth $14 million. His passion for helping others to enrich their lives through investing led him to found Real Life Trading in 2014. This starting point has allowed him to assist and enrich tens of thousands of lives while also growing the company organically to a 7-figure business. Today, you will learn step by step how to turn a modest investment into a comfortable retirement, and how Jerremy became interested in investing at age 7, the limiting beliefs we have surrounding money, the difference between fear and greed when it comes to money, truth about day trading, what it is and how to do it, and what to consider when investing in stock. And oh yeah, you will hear my cell phone ring, but we rolled with it because what Jerremy was sharing was just too good to stop and edit. He did not miss a beat. I won't make you wait any longer for Jerremy, but please do stay for the fun lightning round at the end. Welcome to the show, Jerremy. I am so excited to have you here today.
I'm equally jazzed up about this, Catherine. Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I know we are going to have an interesting conversation. I want to start out with, because I'm very interested in how early you got interested in your area of expertise. And I read that you've been interested in investing since 7 years old.
Yep.
How did you become interested in investing at that early age when most of us were just learning the color in the line?
Yeah, it was totally accidental for sure. And you're going to love this since you're in Birmingham, but I got started by the movie Forrest Gump.
Oh, yeah.
The fictional Greenbow. Is Greenbow, Alabama a real city or is it fake? I think it's fake.
It's real.
Is it?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. I go through Greenville on the way to the beach. Yeah,
I
it's
love
real.
it. Okay. So, well, anyway, in that movie, I related to Forrest Gump a lot because I was kind of a weird kid and everyone always thought I was a little strange and odd. But there was a time for sure where we were watching that video about 78% of the way through the movie. Forrest Gump starts kind of recounting his life. And he says that Lieutenant Dan invested in a fruit company and they didn't have to worry about money anymore. And I thought that was such an interesting concept because I grew up in the deep sticks of Georgia and I was pretty financially strapped. As a kid, my family, we didn't have a lot of financial acumen, but we were very happy. I had a great childhood. I was extremely happy. I was just poor. So when Forrest Gump said that they didn't have to worry about money anymore, that was just such a paradigm shift for me. I had never heard that phrase. I'd never heard those words uttered. So when he said that he invested in a fruit company, I asked my dad, what is investing and what is the fruit company? So he told me a little bit about the stock market and kind of how investing works. And then he told me about the fruit company, which was Apple. Yeah.
I don't think I made that connection in the movie.
Well, I didn't either, but that's the one. So if you rewatch it again, he's opening this letter and there's like the Apple logo at the very top of the letter. And it's hard to spot, but
watch it.
Yeah, that was it. So I had told my dad, you need to invest in Apple. You need to do what Forrest Gump did so that we don't have to worry about money anymore. And he kind of gave me the, son, this is a movie. It doesn't really work that way. Money doesn't just grow on trees. I can't just go out and just get money like we're kind of strapped right now. And I begged him. Eventually he said, listen, if you bring me some money, I'll match it dollar for dollar. And then I'll put whatever you put into Apple. I said, okay. So I went and picked blackberries and sold them door to door in the summer of 1994. So it was like a Bryan Adams song. And I made $1,500 that summer and brought that to my dad. And he was kind of blown away. So he eventually had to borrow the money from my uncle. So we bought $3,000 worth of Apple in 1994.
Wow. I love that story. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that makes me, as a counselor, wonder, like, were you worried about money at that young age?
It's a good question. I wasn't worried about it, but I knew that I saw and I was able to piece together that we didn't have a lot. And a lot of my family members would mention that they didn't have a lot of money for many different various things. And I think most children that I've worked with and interacted with and taught, they don't have the same concept of money as adults do. They see money as a thing that you can just easily obtain. It's just there. There's nothing hard about it. Just go get it and everything will be fine. There's plenty of money to go around. And I'm not saying that's a negative way to approach it at all, but I absolutely just had this random, really altruistic, big macro vision of, well, yeah, just go get some money. And this is an easy thing. Let's just go make it happen so that everyone will be happy. I've asked a lot of kids I've worked with, Catherine, if you had $1 million, what would you do? 10 years and younger, almost all of them say, I'll give it to my mom and dad so they don't have to work anymore. You know? Yeah. It's really sweet to ask kids about money.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
I love that because it tells you exactly what children want. Mm-hmm. They want your time. They want your attention. And that's it. All they want.
That's it. You give them all the money in the world. They're just going to take that money and they're going to pour it into you so they can just have you more and just hang out and play and just spend time with you. Like kids don't have any association with, I want to buy a car until they get like maybe 13 or 14. And that's when you start getting the material things they want to buy. But until that, it's always give, 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 give.
That's amazing. So before we're burdened with abstract thinking, we just have this complete innocence of really what's important about life. I absolutely love that. And so kind of twisting and turning a little bit away from that, as a counselor, especially in the South, a lot of people learn in church that greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. Then they start to associate greed with money. Greed is bad and I want money, then I'm greedy and that's bad. This is a belief that I help clients pull away from because it's all or nothing kind of extreme thinking. This fear of being greedy leads them to either not charging their worth or letting go of their money the minute that they get it. How do we know the difference between like fear and greed?
So you just became like my best friend with that question of all time. You hit the nail on the head. And I love that you created the association too of the greed of having money. And so if you have it and you feel like you're greedy, you just kind of give it away. The different distinction is, I think fear is a very natural and protective feeling and emotion. There's times where it's beneficial and there's times where it's not. But in essence, the greed aspect, a lot of people associate the stock market, which is kind of my subject matter expertise in, they associate the stock market with fear and greed, right? Buy when other people are fearful, sell when other people are greedy. But the really interesting thing is I work with, truly on a given year, tens of thousands of people from all over the world. And the vast majority of them, like 99.9% of them, again, when I speak to money and I ask them, what do you want to do with money? If you made $100,000 this year in the stock market, what would you do with it? And it's, again, very simply, I want to travel with my family. I want to spend more time with my family. I want to be with my family. I want to give to my church. I want to give to my community. I want to give to this charity. But if you want to give money away, or if you want to help other people, if you want to do anything for anyone other than you, inherently you can't be greedy. It's impossible. Greed's a state of the soul, which can never be quenched by any amount of money. And it's a very selfish act. So you get money and you only give it to yourself. You only buy things for yourself. You only do things for yourself. You literally don't give money to your wife, your kids, no one. It's you, it's yours. That's greed. Most people aren't like that. If you are, okay, you'll make a lot of money. You'll have tons of money. But if you're not greedy, and again, most people aren't, there is that absolute distinction between fear and greed, in the extent of you can be fearful, and applying that fear generally comes from the knowledge of something. If you want to remove fear in your life, once you become extremely knowledgeable about that thing, you lessen your fear. Driving is a great example. So if you're 15, you're checking every mirror. You got your hand on the wheel, 10 and 2. And then what? A year and a half later, you're eating a cheeseburger, driving with your knees.
Yeah, that hits home with me. I have my third child is 15. And so that analogy truly hits home with me. And back to fear, another thing that I tell my clients is if something scares you and you're getting anxious about it, use that as a signal that it probably means something to you. It's probably important to you, because we don't get fearful or anxious about things that don't matter to us. So dial into that fear, do more to figure out what that is alerting to. And to build on what you said about greed versus fear, if we want to help more people, more money is good for that too, right? Yeah. The better we do for ourselves, the more we have to offer. You can start that foundation, or if you start with very little and you give it all away, you don't have anything to grow to give in the future.
Yep. You're 100% correct. My current belief system is that we can only spend two things, time or money. And if we don't have tons of money, then we can use tons of time. But most humans have to sleep and eat and spend time with things. And so there is a chunk of time that is at that point limited. And therefore, even though time is a limitless construct in our minds, in our creation, in our world, we do have a limited amount of time in which we can do things while we're awake. And we have to spend it wisely. And so you're absolutely correct. Just like when you want to love someone or you want to love other people, you have to fill up the love inside yourself first. You have to really pour into yourself before you can just do everything for everyone. And then even that aspect by itself, people have to withdraw just a little bit, because you can't be everything for everyone. You will make people upset. You will make people frustrated. People won't like you at some point. So you have to understand that there is going to be a very specific range. There's going to be a really, really adequately proportioned amount of people that you and myself and everyone listening to your phenomenal podcast will be able to understand. Those are the amount of people that you can impact. You can't help everyone in the world, because not everyone wants your help. And even if you gave it to them, not everyone will receive it or accept it.
Now you're my best friend. You are speaking my language.
There we go. Love it.
Hopefully I've learned a few, but there's one truth that I've learned about interacting with my clients is that there are two inanimate objects we all have relationships with, and that's food and that's money. What are some of the common beliefs you see about money that need to be reshaped or learn differently or unlearn that really get in the way of growing our money?
Best question I've been asked in weeks.
Awesome.
I would say the number one is the love of money, because here's where it gets fun. There is a biblical scripture that says the love of money is the root of all evil. A lot of people leave out the word root, though. They think the love of money is evil. The thing is, when you talk about the root of something, that's the core, that's the essence, that's how you get to grow. And if you want to be a horrible, maniacal human being, you have to be greedy and you have to love money. However, if you want to be an altruistic, philanthropic, giving, loving human being that just enriches and impacts millions of people, you also have to love money, because money is going to amplify who you are. It's going to amplify your abilities, and it's going to amplify your gifts and your talents. So the biggest challenge is many people misinterpret not only that scripture, but they also have this polarity that's not fully intact. Because if you want to spend more time with money, if you want more money, if you enjoy money, if you like money, if you think about money, if you talk about money, you probably love it. And most people do love money. They just don't want to admit it. They don't talk about it out loud. They don't talk about it with their friends. They don't talk about it with their parents. They don't talk about money at all. And so it's just this deep-seated thing in their brain that they want more of, but they never express it. They never talk about it. It's never an open thing. And God does not provide things that are silent. You have to make your spoken word true. You have to speak out loud into the universe. You have to really create. It can't just be fully in here. It has to be somewhere else, somewhere where you are uttering the power of what you want so that you can truly receive it. So if you want more money, because you're a great person, because you're going to do good things, you're going to have to talk about it. And you're going to have to accept the fact that you do love money, and loving money does not inherently make you an evil person. It is the root at which you get to decide if you become evil or not. But just like any tree, every tree starts with a root system and an acorn, and it grows. And you get to determine what type of tree you turn into be, right? Are you going to have a beautiful apple tree, or are you going to be like a barren tree that has no fruit, that no one can receive or no one can use or no one can have?
Yes, it seems like such a simple concept, but it is so often overlooked. Money in and of itself is an inanimate object. It can't in and of itself be evil. It's up to the person who has it to determine how that money is used.
Yeah, because Catherine, I mean, money was I say recent in the span of history. I mean, we're talking thousands of years old. But if you go back 100 years in just America, money looks totally different. If you go back 300 years, the currency that was around 300 years ago is so different than what it is today. You couldn't exchange one or the other at all for anything. It would be totally worthless. You couldn't use it, do anything with it. 3,000 years ago, you're using sticks and seashells and chickens, right? And goats. Like, there's no actual thing. So none of those things are evil. It's our association with it, and it's how we spend our resources and what we do and how we help other people. Money is a brick. It can be thrown through your window and cause damage to your home, or it can build a house. So it's just like you said, it's an inanimate object. There's nothing that truly do anything. We get to do all of it with it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. And I'm ready to jump right in and let some of your stock market expertise rain down on us. So let's
do it.
I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I have a lot of perfectionists listening. And we have the habit of always telling ourselves, I must know more before I can act. I must wait and analyze for the perfect time. We also tend to procrastinate because we see this large result that we want, and it's such a lofty goal, sometimes unattainable, that we tell ourselves we can't do it, instead of breaking down that big result that we want into small pieces or steps that it's actually going to take to achieve that result. So we might procrastinate and never take steps toward retirement because it's that big looming thing at the end of the path. Can you take us step by step through how to grow a modest investment to get to a comfortable retirement?
Yeah, I can. And what you just described so articulately is really the biggest challenge that most people have, is they see this massive thing and they go, well, I'm never really going to be able to do that massive thing. And so I just won't. I won't take any steps towards it at all. And the way to start investing is to start investing. That's the best way. And retirement, what I would say, number one thing is to define, what does retirement mean to you and or your family? And what does that concept mean? What are you going to be doing with it? What's your beliefs? What do you want to achieve? Why are you there? All of those things are important because we need to know what you're going to do at retirement. What if you don't do anything? I mean, do you want to just sit down and watch TV all day? Or do you want to travel and stay at first class 5-star hotels? Do you want to kind of like backpack it a little bit? Do you want to spend time with the grandkids? Do you want to go play golf? Do you want to play bridge? Like, what do you want to do? And then kind of start backtracking and figuring out how much all those things would cost, because you want to know those numbers. You want to have some really, really good specific information on how much your lifestyle may cost at that time, and then kind of work backwards a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because I think that most people probably do want to travel and go see countries they've never been to and go do experiences they've never had and get on the nice giant sailboat and sail from island to island and spend time with their friends and family and get a nice tan and go swimming and be in good shape and eat great food. That's probably what most of the people, at least that I've worked with, want to do. And I will say up front, I do not manage anyone's money. I don't have a license for it. I'm an educator. That's my specialty, is I try to deconstruct really complex subjects and make them simple for people to understand. So investing is as simple as finding companies that you like a lot, that you're extremely knowledgeable in, that you use the products, that you benefit from the products and or services on a daily or weekly or specifically monthly basis. And you've done some version of research to expect that that company is going to go higher over time, and then you accumulate shares of that company. So an example would be Amazon. Everyone listening to your show knows exactly what Amazon is. And I could agree with 100% certainty that Amazon will not be at $0 between now and the next 10 years. It will not happen. If Amazon was worth absolutely no money, that would get bought out by another company somewhere way before it hit zero. So that kind of confidence, knowing that Amazon will absolutely unequivocally be around for the next decade, gives us the ability to go, okay, let me accumulate some shares. Let me start buying some positions of Amazon, because you want to be an owner and not just a consumer. If you consume a product or a company, you want to be in that company, because when you own shares, that's what you're doing, Catherine, is you're literally owning a piece of that company. You're giving yourself the ability to make money while you sleep. You're owning something that creates value for other people without you having to do, well, anything. And so that essence is really what it's all about, is being able to come up with, create, and dictate a plan for how you can buy and be in positions over the long span of time and accumulate enough positions so that it matters. And a lot of people go let me just buy into a mutual fund route. So there's this random mutual fund that people created for me. I'm just going to go buy into that. The slight challenge with mutual funds is that they perform under the stock market 97% of the time, year to year. So we're not talking like one random year they underperform. We're talking 97% of the time they underperform every single year. So 97% of them. So if you have 47,000 mutual funds, you have a 3% chance that you're going to pick one that overperforms the market once in a given year. That's pretty low odds. And even if you did, my argument is, why not just buy the thing that everyone is trying to beat? Just buy the market, which you can. It's really easy. You can invest directly into the stock market, buying something like this called the QQQs. So the ticker symbol is 3Qs, like the queen. And what that does is it tracks what's called the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ is a group of collection of 100 stocks, generally tech stocks, tech-oriented companies. And if you buy that and nothing other than that, if that's all you do, you will beat 97% of mutual funds every single year, because that's what they're trying to beat. They're trying to beat the Qs. Okay. So just buy that. If you don't want to do anything else, if you want a basket of stocks, if you want a diversification of 100 companies, the biggest, best companies in the world here in the United States, they're all blended together and they're giving you an average. You can just buy that average over time and you will do extremely well.
Oh, that is such great advice. So what about those that might say, Amazon or the stocks that have been performing really well are overvalued and you shouldn't buy it because it's already gone up this much.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it depends then again on your investment and or retirement or money goals. Because if you want some version of safety and security and reliability, then you can buy the companies that have gone up for a while and are established and have been around. Apple's a very good example of that. So you can buy Apple, you can buy Amazon, you can buy Facebook. These companies are so large and they impact so many people and they provide so much value for the world. Owning them will give you upside potential because they're still going to have the ability to grow over the next 10, 20 years for sure.
Yeah.
But are they going to grow 3, 4, 5, 600%? Probably not. Are they going to grow 20% a year? Most likely. And that's just getting into those now. The only way you can get the hyper growth companies is you go and find the companies that have been around less than 10 years on the stock market and you start investing in those now. So here's an example. Etsy. You know what Etsy is, right?
Yes.
So Etsy, I'll pull it up on another screen. Etsy has been on the US stock market since 2015. So as of this recording, around 5 years. And Etsy has gone from approximately $8 a share in 2016, and now it's $123 a share today. But we know how Etsy works. You probably have used Etsy at some point. You've bought something off of Etsy. I've never sold anything on Etsy, but I know people who have sold things on Etsy. And with COVID and with the pandemic and with all these situations that are happening in the world right now, people are also using Etsy as a way to generate additional income for themselves and for their family, right? They're creating things and the items and they're taking those items and they're selling them on Etsy and they're creating income for themselves. So it's a website that allows people to be entrepreneurs, like immediate entrepreneurs. So that's an example, though, of if you want an insane return, you're going to have to buy stocks that are a little bit newer. You're going to have to do a little bit of research on them. You're going to have to pour in some time, reach out to a professional like myself or someone else who has some experience looking at newer companies and buying into those companies. Another one would be Fiverr. So Fiverr is a website that everyone can access, FIVVER.com.
Mm-hmm.
And it's where you and I can go, Catherine. Let's say our audio kind of gets a little jumbled in this podcast and we want to go and have an audio specialist clean up the audio. We could hire someone for like $10. So the reason it was created is called Fiverr, as in like $5. Mm-hmm. So 3 or 4 years ago, everything on there was $5. So you could hire an audio engineer specialist who lives in the Ukraine for $5 and poof, your audio is amazing. Everything is great. And you spent $5. Now you have a great product. Now it's a little bit more expensive. You can still find plenty of things on there for $5, but in essence, it allows people again to create their skills and their talent. So Etsy, you sell a physical product. Fiverr, you sell your skills and assets online. Mm-hmm. And again, for you, you could have your counseling sessions on Fiverr where you go, hey, I'm a specialized counselor. So you're going to get people not only in Alabama, but you get people all over the world. And what's really cool about Fiverr, it's an Israeli company. So it's based out of Israel. The reason that's cool is because all of the companies that are in Israel, Fiverr is one of the biggest, and it's brand new. It's been on the market for less than a year. So anyone who lives in Israel, they're going to want exposure to what's called a powerful tech stock. So if you have companies, mutual funds, banks, hedge funds, and or retail individual people just like you and I who live in Israel, and they want exposure to one of their own companies, they're going to pour into one of their companies that they have created. They're going to buy Fiverr. And it's going to, over time, going to cause that stock to go up because all of that money that's in Israel is going to be pouring into just that company just because it's a, hey, we made it type of a situation because they don't have many tech companies that are based in Israel.
Yeah, absolutely. My wonderful personal assistant, I think she hired our great sound editor for the podcast through Fiverr.
That's too cool. I love it.
Yeah, shout out to my editor. So what I'm hearing is it is really as simple as getting down to your why, what you want in retirement, what you want to be able to afford, what you want to be able to do, the why that is going to drive you, then reverse engineering how much that's going to cost you. And then when you are looking at stocks for your portfolio, you're really going to need to know your risk level to know whether or not you want to go ahead and buy in with the tried and true that are less risky, but maybe provide less growth, or dive in, more risk, more possibility for growth.
You said that absolutely correct. And you can have a blend. So you could have 80% of your portfolio in Walmart, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and Costco. And then you split that 20% up over Fiverr, Etsy, and DraftKings, and then Pinterest. And then you're done. So you have a little bit that's in the steady eddies, as they're called, the blue chips, the ones that pay dividends over time. And then you have a little bit of money in some high flyer, high growth, newer companies that can really exponentially grow over the next 3-4 years or 20 years or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
So let's make a little shift over to day trading.
Sure.
Can you explain what day trading is, how to do it, and who should be doing it?
Yeah, I definitely can do that. So day trading, that's really at the core. It's an exciting way to generate cash flow. And the ironic part is my main clients that work with me and trade with me on a daily basis are generally 50 and older and are either retired or about to retire. And they just want something to do with some of their cash so that it just doesn't sit there idle. So they have a retirement. They already have it good to go. They already know what they're about to do. They have a job and they want to just grow that retirement so then they're not always pulling money off of it and it just slowly dwindles. They want to either just, let's say, keep it baseline. Let's say, hey, if I can pull money out of my retirement every single year and it just stays the exact same number every single year. And so when I retire, I have $1 million, and when I die, I have $1 million, and then I can give that to my kids. But in between that, I can live my life. Phenomenal. That's kind of in essence what day trading can allow someone to do, is create cash flow and also create an engaging, exciting environment where you can take advantage of quick opportunities and quick fluctuations in the market. So in essence, it sounds hard, but it's not. Day trading, I can boil down to second grade math.
Oh, I like that.
Yep. So day trading, you can easily boil it down to second grade math. In the stock market, you have the ability to make money if the stock goes up or if the stock goes down. That's something called shorting. And I won't explain that massively unless you really want me to, but you can make money when it goes up or goes down. So it doesn't matter the direction. Literally irrelevant. If it goes down, you can make money. If it goes up, you can make money. So then the second aspect of that is if you buy 1,000 shares of any company and it goes up $1, you will make $1,000. If you short 1,000 shares and it goes down $1, you will make $1,000. So it's really easy math. 1,000 shares on anything, if it moves up and down $1, that is your potential gain or reward or loss or risk. So if I want to make $1 on something and I do a 30-cent stop on 1,000 shares, a stop loss is how you can protect your investment or protect your trade or protect your capital. So if I do 1,000 shares with 30 cents of risk, that's a $300 risk, right?
Right.
So 1,000 shares, 30 cents of risk, $300 risk, 1,000 shares, $1 profit, $1,000 profit. So I'm risking $300 to make $1,000. You can do that every single day, finding one stock that you just focus on constantly and trade that stock over and over and over and over. And you can carve out anywhere between 60, 70, 80 cents a day. And if you're doing it on 1,000 shares, that can be $600, $700, $800 every single day.
Holy cow, that is mind-blowing to me. I mean, I'm sure like to you, it seems extremely simple, but my mind is literally blown. Like I'm just thinking, why the heck have I not been doing this? So then you're really only having to research and focus and getting to know one stock intimately and determining its patterns.
Yep, exactly. You're 100% correct. You can focus on just one thing. It could be Apple. So I traded Apple and nothing other than Apple for 2 years. So 2012 and 2013, like that was my main focus. Like I just traded Apple. It can be any company. I mean, there's plenty of stocks I could suggest that one could focus on, but AMD is another one. So it's advanced micro devices. So they make semiconductor chips or computer chips for your processing speeds and things like that. And that particular stock was the number one most best performing stock on the S&P 500 in 2019. It moves on average about $3 a day, up and down. So if you can find its pattern, get to intimately know this company, you just focus really good on second grade math, you can absolutely have the ability of carving out somewhere between 60 and 80 cents a day on the low end. And if you get really good at the patterns, you buy it low, you sell it when it's high, you short it when it's high, you buy it back when it's low. If you get really good, you can make $3, $4 a day. trading AMD on 1,000 shares is $3,000 or $4,000, which is kind of mind blowing in an essence of it is to an extent math-based simplistic trading.
Yeah, it is mind blowing because I'm thinking one of my superpowers is finding patterns.
Oh, then you would be an amazing trader.
I find patterns in behavior. I find patterns in thoughts. And I think that's due to my law school training and then my counseling training, putting those two things together. So my mind is absolutely blown. So my follow-up questions are, one, how long should you research something to determine the pattern before you actually start trading it?
That's a very good question. It doesn't have to be that long. I generally say for most people, you absolutely should spend time learning anything, like whatever your craft is, whatever you want to get better at, whatever you want to hone in on. We should always spend some time getting better at it. You're not going to be able to just day one, make $1,000 a day and every single day and you're good to go. Let's go back to the car example. You need to be able to drive the car. So that's called a broker in my world. So a broker is the car. You have buttons that you have to press them at the right time in the right place and know what you're doing, certain systems and certain orders. But once you get that down, again, that's like driving a car. So that'll take you, 2-3 months maybe of just practice. And then the patterns themselves, they are patterns that repeat all the time. Visual patterns. So when you're talking about human behavior, Catherine, that's what the stock market is. It's human behavior. Humans are trading it, even though you can say, well, robots and computers are also trading it. Yeah, but they're built by humans. So they still react based on what a human would think or program them to do. So when we have these systems and we have these ordinances and we have these creations, we go, okay, this is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. This is how we're doing it. And you come up with a system and a plan. So your plan can be, so today that we're doing this podcast, this recording is a Friday. So I can sit down on Saturday and go, all right, if this particular stock goes down to this particular price, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy 1,000 shares. I'm going to set a 30-cent stop. And then I'm going to set a $1 target. And you can set that in the broker and literally not even be there. And it can execute on Monday without you even being by the computer. And you either made $1,000 or lost 300. And that process, I would say, takes about 4 months of just practice to know and understand, do you like this? Is it intriguing? Is it interesting? I will say women make better traders than men by far. So if most of your listeners and clientele are women, they need to research this stuff because women are amazing traders in essence because they have great time management skills. They're able to listen internally and figure out, are they anxious, frustrated, scared, worried, happy, fearful? They can listen in and tune in and they can emotionally go, I shouldn't trade today. Or, yep, I should trade today. Or I should get out of this trade earlier or whatever. You can start building up an intuition. And women love listening to their intuition a lot more than men. And also for guys, it's more of an ego thing. It's like, I want to make money so I can provide and blah, blah, blah. And they get like this ego thing going on. And for women, it's a pattern. It's just like no, I'm not going to do this and this is why, or I am going to do this and this is why. And they just kind of pull the trigger and that's that. So the cool news is in regards to not only day trading, but investing or something called swing trading. So swing trading is creating cash flow, the exact same concept, Catherine, except maybe instead of a day. So day trading is literally Monday open, I'm in and I'm out before the close of Monday. Swing trading is I get into a stock on Monday for $40 and on Friday afternoon, I sell it for $50. And so I have a $10 profit per share on 1,000 shares, which can be $10,000. And your stop loss, your exit was $2 when you got in. So you risked $2,000 to make $10,000. Very possible. And that's called swing trading, owning it for multiple days. So the cool part is the patterns in the behavior are fractal. So what works on a 1 minute time frame works on a daily time frame, works on a weekly time frame, works on a monthly time frame. And you can look at the patterns, you can look at the sentiment, you can literally see people's psychology on the screen, and it's wild.
Oh, I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated. So now that we know how long we need to research before we dive in, where do you go to get that information? Like, is there a website? Where can I watch this, learn this, and research this?
Yep. I went to college at the University of Florida, go Gators, and I wanted to get a finance degree. because I thought a finance degree would teach me the exact question that you just asked. And I'll let you know, it doesn't quite do that. It's taught, but you can probably agree on this in the sense of your legal training and your background in psychology and learning and talking. You learn the conceptual bigger picture, but it's on the job training. It's really that meat is where you're going to get all of the knowledge that you need to have a really good experience or practice doing anything. Mm-hmm. So a law degree is like, you're going to have a big picture, but you're still terrified on your first case, or you're going to be wigging out when you're there and you're speaking to whoever you're speaking to the very first time and it's real. That's the experience that we need. And in finance, when I got the degree, I ended up switching the degree to business management because the finance degree didn't actually answer, or at least I didn't feel it answer the questions that I was seeking. So what I eventually did was studied my face off for 4 years, read every book, watched every webinar, went to every in-person session. I poured 17 hours into this a day, almost every single day for about 4 to 5 years, until I got comfortable enough where I go, okay, I can teach this. And so I created a website that teaches people for free because I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars learning it. And I was like, well, to prevent a lot of other people spending that type of money and heartache, let me just give this knowledge away for free. And so I created a company called Real Life Trading. And I do my absolute best. My mission is to enrich lives. And I do that by teaching people how the stock market works and how to safely, profitably, and consistently trade it to make money regardless if the market goes up, down, or sideways.
That is incredible. And I'm going to be visiting that website today and probably like calling you and becoming your next client because this sounds so fun.
It is cool. It's really cool. Here's where it gets fun. All right. Did you know you can rent out your house if you don't live in it? Of course you did. Everyone knows that. So let's say you have 2 houses. You live in one, you're going to rent out the other one. Everyone in the world knows that concept. Did you know you can rent out your stocks?
What?
Yep. You can make rent money on your stocks.
That, it can't blow my mind because it's just like sitting in there percolating. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, no one knows. That's just one of those things when you tell people, they're like, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Also, you have insurance on your house that you're renting, or you have insurance on the house that you live in. You also have car insurance, life insurance, all the insurances. You can also insure your stocks. So you can buy insurance on a stock so that you can protect it if it does go down, so that you can mitigate your risk, just like home insurance or health insurance or life insurance or any other kind of insurance.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it gets deep real fast. But the cool part is the stock market, in essence, has been around, let's say 140 years, just to keep math easy. Real estate's been around for thousands of years. So your great, whoever, had some type of property. It doesn't matter if they rented it, lived in it, built it, owned it. Everyone knows what real estate is. It's tangible. We can touch it. We can go outside and we can see homes. The stock market is mysterious because it's only been around for a short period of time. And most people don't know how it works. They didn't have a good teacher. They just totally are learning. And when you don't know anything at all about what you're doing, but anything investing wise, it's called gambling. And the reason that the stock market is not gambling is because, like I just mentioned to you, you can place parameters where you lose an exact amount of money. And in gambling, which I do gamble, I go to Vegas all the time. I like gambling, but I keep my losses very small. I do it just for fun because it's exciting. So if I lose $400 in gambling, like if you put all of your money on red and it hits black, your money's gone. In the stock market, you could take, Catherine, every single dollar that you possess, buy Fiverr today and sell it tomorrow. And you can either make or lose a little bit of money, but it's not going to go to zero. You're not going to lose it all. And that's the difference between gambling and stock market is you absolutely can have a predefined risk that you can appropriate on any amount of money.
I don't even know where to go from there. Like, there's so many questions swirling around in my head. I'm having trouble picking one. Okay, so this is completely in the other direction. So say you've got the person that you're talking to about retirement and you're asking them their why and what they want to be able to do in retirement. What if you have a couple and one person wants to do nothing but save for retirement and not live now? The other person wants to do nothing but spend and not save for the future. What questions would you ask them, or what kind of advice would you give them?
You're talking about me and my girlfriend. Okay. Hey, this is a good question. Let's talk.
That didn't mean to get so personal. We just met, but yeah, I guess so.
All good. At the beginning, you said, is there anything I shouldn't talk about? No, honestly, the point is it comes down to that aspect as a relational question in the sense of that's a communicational thing where you sit parties down, you talk about it. I'm the spender, she's the saver, and you come up with boundaries, you come up with constraints, you come up with budgets, but you also come up with compromise. You come up with, okay, babe, or okay, guy, or whatever, like whatever that relationship is, husband, wife, friend, partner, whoever, you dictate what you can and cannot do, and you just come up with compromises because it really is a communication aspect to that point where you dive into the weeds, you really break it down, and you find out why they're that way. Also,
yeah,
don't just accept it like, oh, you're a saver. Cool. You can change. I've changed millions of savers into investors because I've never met anyone who got extremely rich from saving. I've met people who didn't get poor.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So you really have to get down to the need that's driving the behavior.
Yeah.
You spend it all because you save it all because how can we find this gray area in which both of our needs can be met and we're secure enough to move forward together and not be so extreme on one end or the other?
Yeah, bingo. There's so many creative ways to do it, but you could say, okay, for this month, I won't spend any money. I would spend and we'll put it in this account or whatever, and we'll invest it into this thing. In January, I get to have this lavish trip and I get to spend some money, and we just kind of go back and forth because you do have to live. You have to have a good time. We are here now consciously. And if we're here and you have money, you do not want to get sick or have some type of regret where, man, I really wish I went to Aruba and went scuba diving.
Yeah.
Like if you want to do that, I mean, let's go. Both the pawn and the king get put in the same box at the end of the game.
Oh, I like that one.
Right? So if you're a pawn or a king, the box is coming. Start enjoying your life, doing something exciting for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I could talk to you all day long and hope that we get to talk again, but I'm ready.
We should. We're going to change contacts after this because I like you. You're just a great person.
Absolutely. Well, I like you too. Thank you so much. I want to do a little bit more of finding out about you as a person, and I like to do that through the lightning round. Are you up for that?
Let's do it.
New car or used car?
Used car.
Rental real estate, yes or no?
Yes.
15-year or 30-year mortgage or pay cash?
I will do this. I'm only going to answer the questions that you ask, but they spur so many good conversations. All three of these, I'm like, I want to talk about them for hours. And that answer, 15-year mortgage.
Favorite movie and why?
It has to be Forrest Gump. Great film, inspiring, life-changing, and just really, really brings you down to earth to let you know that you do not have to be the smartest person in the world to be one of the most impactful.
Oh, I should have guessed that for sure. Cocktail or mocktail?
Cocktail.
Do you have a favorite?
Old fashioned.
Oh, every Sunday night in the fall, that's what my husband makes for me.
There you go. Love it.
Absolutely love it. Do you have a favorite bourbon that goes in the old fashioned?
No, I don't. I'm one of those super, super easy to please people that just kind of loves variety and will do anything. So I'll do anything from Angel's Envy to Maker's Mark to whatever is around, whatever is available. I do like Blanton's. Blanton's is quite nice if they have it available. That's up in Kentucky. Buffalo Trace is great. But yeah, I'll do anything.
Okay, sounds good. If you could go anywhere in the world today, where would it be?
Anywhere in the world today at this exact moment, I would be in Paris because I've never been.
So want to go to Paris.
Yeah, I'd be in Paris. That's what popped in my mind at the very first when you said that.
That's a good one. I have two more questions to wrap it up. One is, where can we go to find you online to learn more about you?
That's a great question. I would answer it this way. I just released a podcast with one of my business partners who you absolutely need to interview at some point. Her name is Brittany Turner. Her and I created a podcast called From Broke to Woke. You can find it anywhere podcasts are available. We have it on YouTube, Spotify, Apple iTunes, all that kind of good stuff. So it's called From Broke to Woke. And we kind of do outline our journey because you asked like where people can learn more about me. If you want to learn way too much about me and my background and everything that's possible, it's not just like a personal sob story fest. It's really what we did, how we started as entrepreneurs, how we started from zero and both built multi-million-dollar businesses and all the tragedies that occurred throughout that time and what lessons we learned from them. It's a great podcast. We're number 3 in Lithuania, if you're wondering.
You know what? You're higher than I am in Lithuania.
Yeah, Lithuania is a hard market to break into. So yeah, it's a good podcast. And I also do have a website, jerremynewsome.com. My first name is spelled with 2 R's. My dad's name was Jerry, and I was a love baby. Like, I was intentionally conceived. And so my mom calls me Jerry and me. That's how my name came to be.
Oh, that's adorable.
So jerremynewsome.com is my personal website. And then if you did get interested about the stock market, if I piqued anyone's interest, my stock market education website is real, REAL, life, LIFE, trading.com.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to be checking out the podcast and both of your websites, and I encourage everyone else to. So I want to wrap this up by asking you the same question I ask all my guests, which is, what is one imperfect action we can take today to move closer to our best lives?
My answer to that, the very first thing that pops in my head is go ahead and write that chapter. A lot of people do not feel their life is worthy enough to be a book, or their life story is worthy enough to turn into a movie. Every one of us has a book inside of us. Every one of us has a story that should be shared. And if you're listening to this, you might feel that you're not important, but you're important to somebody. It could be your kids, it could be your grandkids, or it could be your grandkids, 7 generations from now that you never meet. You are dying and you're dead way before they are on this earth. They might want to know who you are. They might want to know what you did. They might want to know one small funny thing about you. It could be 1 page long. They read it and they know who that person was and they know why they were here on this earth. I would go ahead and say to everyone, write that page. You're not going to spell everything correctly. You're not going to have the grammar right. It's not going to have a theme. It's not going to have anything. Get that page written, get that chapter written, and that'll be such a great start. Even if you do nothing other than that, it'll be a really good insight into who you are as a human.
Well, I second that motion. That was absolutely beautiful. So I encourage you to go out today and do exactly what Jerremy just said. Write that chapter of your story, because each one of us has a great story to tell. Thank you so much, Jerremy, for being on the show today. I've had a blast.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
And everybody, I'll meet you right back here next week. And until then, go out and take imperfect daily action toward the life that you want. If you are enjoying this podcast, would you take a moment to go to iTunes and subscribe? It is so easy to do, and it would mean a lot. Imperfect Thriving is a part of the Practice of the Practice podcast network, a network of podcasts seeking to help you thrive imperfectly. To hear other podcasts like the Bomb Mom Podcast, Beta Male Revolution, or Empowered and Unapologetic, go to practiceofthepractice.com/network. This podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information with regard to the subject matter covered. This is given with the understanding that neither the host, Practice of the Practice, or guests are providing legal, mental health, or other professional information. If you need a professional, I encourage you to reach out to one.